What's going on, guys? Flatline Blades here. Back at it. I got some Hinderers. I've cut a couple videos, but since I got something else and then I swapped some stuff around, and then watching the two videos back, I figure I can just combine all of that into just one video. So that's what this is. So, first off, my first $200 knife was or 200 or over, was ZT0562. It was carbon fiber. Had that thing 4 years, and maybe 4.5 years. I let it go a couple months ago. Anyway, since I've been on a Hinderer kick, I got a all blacked out sprint run, and so now I have my first, $200 knife again. I bought two $400 knives at the same time a little bit later on. Obviously I'm not talking about the next week. My first two $400 knives I bought on the same day was a Les George V-Sep and a Rick Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch. It was a spear point. It had the finger choil. I ended up buying multiple scales for it. But anyway, so it's kind of cool to have my first $200 knife kind of back and my first $400 knife back as well. Because for a while I was staying in that realm. I had a bunch of knives that were like $100 to $300, and then once I started doing, I got stuff like a Spartan Harsey folder, Alan Elijahwood's Pirate. I had gotten a Cypher MK7. I had gotten a Sigil MK6. I know I'm forgetting something here. I had a Jake, I've had several Jake Hoback Quaybacks as well, but that was amongst my first 10 quality knives. But anyway, let's get to the reason why we're doing a video here. I'm going to throw the pick in of what these were. Basically, I had a blacked out flipper, no choil. It was battle black. It had the black G10 scale on it. I had all the way I got it, it was all blacked out. The other one had the stonewash texture tie scale, and it was all stonewashed everything. This one was a non-flipper with a choil, and the only thing it had going was black nitrate hardware. I tried to do a blade swap. Even though the lockup was completely fine, it did have an issue where the detent was too different, and the flipper blade in the non-flipper frame lock was not wanting to really interact with each other. It had a lot of up and down wiggle right here. This one is not doing it, so it's kind of hard for me to say what it was doing. But so the blade swap didn't happen, but I did settle for something else, which I think is fine and will work. What I did, I thought that a slightly better all around EDC wise was going with the slightly lighter G10 scale. And when you're getting your keys in and out of your pocket or something, you're not scratching up the tie scale. Now, I know that this one is plain and it's textured, so maybe it's a bad example, but I've had a lot of knives that were anodized and stuff, and it's amazing how quick and it gets scratched up on the show scale just from getting stuff in and out of your pockets. That's why I would never wear a ring on my right hand anymore either. I had a new knife, and I messed that fucking thing all up just because I had a ring on. But anyway, So I thought the combination of this one with being slightly more comfortable because there's no flipper tab digging into your hand, and it does have the choil so you can choke up a little bit more depending on what you're doing. And there's no finish to, there's no finish to mess up or scratch up. And with it being lighter right now, I live in Houston, and it feels like temp in the last week or two has been in the 110 to 115 range. It was really ridiculous. My point is I'm not wearing pants if I don't have to. I'm wearing shorts, so weight does make a difference to me. Now, it's only about a half an ounce difference with the G10 and the liner versus the tie scale. So anyway, the other one now is badass and loaded out. These are both on skiffs, so these things are drop shut, butter smooth. But this now is a no choil flipper Sponto blackout with the stonewash textured scale, and I went with the stainless hardware. But it's cool. The one I did before, I don't think I ever did one color nuts and the other, the screws. But I am a huge fan. I love both of these knives in their own right, and I think swapping both of them made it look a lot better anyway. But I did different color nuts and screws on both of them, and I chose to do the standoffs in whatever the opposite was of the main thing, since I couldn't do the blade swap, meaning that this blade and this frame were made together, and the same thing with this. I just flipped, I ended up basically just flipping all the hardware and the scales around. 35 years of Hinderer. It's been a while. Like I said, I had got my first $400 knife. That was about 2 years ago. The 562 was about a little over 4 years ago. So it's kind of funny and cool that I went completely full circle. I've had a lot of different knives, J-Capes, Chavez. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know why I'm sitting here trying to name off other stuff, but all I know is these Gen 6s on skiffs have so much different action than the one that I had that it's a completely different knife for me. And Hinderer did kind of create and were the starters of modular, or this thing's still under warranty. I swapped the scales around. You try that with another knife, put a different scale on there, and you're not, especially aftermarket stuff. Now there is aftermarket stuff, and I even assume that Hinderer would do the same thing. But my point is, it's their company. They make all those colors of standoffs, the hardware, the scales. It's different. And I think I mentioned this, but the non-flipper is new to me. The action on this is new to me. I think the non-flipper is a little bit more comfortable. It's not like this thing's sitting there digging into me hardcore, but if I was using this for a good hour or two and having to do some serious work and holding it hard, then yeah, I do think the flipper tab does dig in a little bit. So the action on these are just absolutely great. The ergos are awesome. The price to value, it definitely competes with anything that's in its price range. Some people say they're overpriced or overrated, and once I got these again and feeling how good and smooth the action is, and I can just buy all kinds of different parts and interact, change them out all the time, I definitely say they're worth the money. Man, this video already went 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. So I don't have many knives anymore. Every single knife that's ever been on this channel has been my knife that I bought or traded for. Never has someone sent me a knife to do a review on. Flatline blades.